All right, we're live here. Good afternoon, everyone, and we are at the Fallon Forum. If you're looking at this on Webcast Live 1, then you'll know that I don't look like Ed Fallon, and my co-host here, Desmond Adams, doesn't look like Ed Fallon. He is out of the country, so we're sitting in for him. Today, before we do get started, we also want everyone to take a moment and think about the victims of 9/11, and what are taking place on this day and how far we have come. That's very important for us to understand that it happened, we have grown, we have learned, and now it's time for us to come together as a community to make a difference. And that's why this show is important to us, because our guest here today, Desmond,
yes,
is Mothers Against Violence.
Absolutely. Welcome, ladies.
Yeah, and gentlemen.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
And we have the founder of Mothers Against Violence. Calvetta Williams, who's with us. We have Deborah Hill. We have the infamous, Larry McLaughlin, who's with us today. And right? Did I pronounce that right?
Nice.
All right. And then we have Rachel Hawkins, which I'm not going to make fun of this, but I knew Rachel when she was a baby.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
She still is young.
She's still young, yeah. I'm not going to mention I changed her diaper once. Okay. All right, now we're going to have some fun here today, but we're talking about a very serious matter. Desmond and I are going to interview Mothers Against Violence, and we're going to talk about some issues that need to be talked about. Violence in the community. Everyone's talking about it. The key is Mothers Against Violence are doing something about it, and that's what's important. Calvetta, how you doing?
I'm fine.
You doing good?
Yes.
Good. Yeah, you started Mothers Against Violence. I mean, what did you do? You woke up in the middle of the night one night and just decided that you just wanted to get a new T-shirt or something? How did that get started?
Actually, my friend, he had got murdered. So I just kept thinking like I need to do something. And then a cousin of my granddaughter's had got murdered. And I went to his funeral, and the pastor said, who's going to stand up and do something about it, make a change? And I'm in the funeral like I am. So after the funeral, I went to that pastor, and I said, I want to stand up and make a change. Can he help me? Then I got on my Facebook, got a couple of my friends, and we're here now.
Okay. So let me go, and you're the president, correct?
Correct.
And the vice president is Larry?
The infamous.
The infamous.
Yes.
Larry, tell Mothers Against Violence, what do you do?
Basically, we're set up to fill in the gap. What we seen in the community when we started, we noticed that there were certain things that some programs was not doing or not thinking about doing. And it was simple. We sat down one day and realized that the mother didn't have a dress for the funeral. So Calvetta went out and bought the dress. Buying the dress, realized that the family didn't have food to eat. And so in doing those things, we were really trying to get to the people. And what happened was there was someone, I believe, from one of the news shows that had seen what was going on from speaking at the January 1st and also seeing her doing it. And then at that, they got interested in what we were doing. And it kind of took steam and got public attention. But it was something that really, behind the scenes, we were already committed and trying to do to help the community.
So this was a real, Larry, this was a real grassroots sort of development,
Definitely.
sort of how this came about. Sort of where are we at today? How many volunteers do you have? What does the organization look like? Composition? Can you talk to us a little bit more about the organization and the listeners?
Actually, right now, we're setting up our 501 in the process of that, the C3.
501c3?
Yes.
Okay.
And what we're doing is basically what you see is when you see about maybe 6 to 7 of us, that's our core group. Our email list is probably over 140, and I think we're going to focus in on that and get them more involved.
Well, excellent. Share with our listeners what that email address is, where the web address, and any other information that they might be able to ascertain and check out on their own.
The email address is Mothers Against V, the V for violence, naturally, mothersagainstv@gmail.com. You can find us on Facebook. We have a page. It's a little hard to get to. It's MA/VS. That's our friend page. We also have a page, a like page, Mothers Against Violence, I believe, -MAV. And that's the page that we would really like the viewers to friend the page, but also hit the like page, because the like page gives you the updates of what's going on in the community, different partnerships we have with different other companies in the community, as we're sitting here, we got a big friendship, partnership. Every day we deal with a creative vision, the support and the mentorship that comes from there, and just reaching down to us and pulling us up and standing there with us in the community. So, giving us that mentorship. So on the like page, it gives the community access to just update information of the different things and other different companies that's been here. We didn't recreate the wheel. There's other people that was here when we got here. So,
Okay, I guess let's get down to some real nitty gritty type thing, because the thing is, you have people that live in Clive and Urbandale and other areas, and they talk about the violence that's on the near north side, the enterprise community. Now it's called the urban core. They're talking about we got to do something in that area. Is the violence as bad as you read in the newspaper? And Rachel, I'm going to ask you about that because you're from Des Moines. You grew up here. Is it as bad as they say it is?
Absolutely. In some places it is. I mean, there is a point in time now where I have a 16-year-old that I don't allow to go anywhere unless I know where he's at, who he's with, how long he's going to be there, just because it's not safe.
But the violence, I mean, do we have more violence in
I don't think it's
area?
more violence in that area or any other area. I think the violence is just now coming to a head. It's always been there, but for some reason, it's at a peak right now.
All right, well, let me ask. I mean, am I safer? Am I safer living in Clive than I am in Des Moines, Iowa?
Absolutely
in
not.
Polk County in Des Moines?
No.
Why? But you're saying the violence is peaking.
I say that you're not any safer in Clive or Urbandale than in Des Moines because a lot of those kids are coming over here, hanging out with our kids, hanging out with the kids, and then they're going back to their neighborhoods, and our kids are going to hang in their neighborhoods. So the violence is everywhere.
Okay, let me just to clarify, because people are listening to us. People are watching the webcast. What do you mean, our kids and them kids? Are we talking about blue kids and
No,
green
I am
kids?
just
What
talking
kids?
about the suburban kids and the urban kids.
Okay,
They're not, I mean, it's not, I'm not saying black or white or any of that. I'm just saying our kids in the hood are different than the kids in Urbandale and in Clyde.
Okay, all right. Desmond had a question because I want to ask what's the difference. Can I ask that question? Deborah, do you agree with what Rachel just said?
Well, I left Des Moines a long time ago. I came back. I left Des Moines a long time ago and came back after 30 years. Now, what I found here is these kids are extraordinarily bored. They have nothing to do, no entertainment that's really catching their eye, no affordability to do some of the things. And so when a child is bored, they find something else to do. Now, I came here with a 16-year-old, never been in trouble, never did anything in Chicago, where you can easily get in trouble, you can easily get killed, you can do a lot of things. Come here, now he's charged with 4 counts of armed robbery and facing several years in prison for being around the wrong group of people. First time he got in high school, he was met by a gang and said, "Are you running with us? Are you going to do this? Are you going to do that?" And he's like, "I'm not in a gang. I've never been in a gang, and I'm not about to start now." And it got so bad where he went to the principal and literally asked if he could take E20 classes, which are computer classes, so that he could stay out the hallway and stop being confronted by people trying to force him into fights. So now he's been incarcerated almost a year, sitting in Marshalltown waiting for the decisions that the court make over him. And they tell me, well, he takes a plea because it's easier for him to get a plea than to get a fair trial as a young black teenager in this community. So.
Okay. I'm reading the book now. It's called The Other Westmore. And The Other Westmore is about 2 individuals named Westmore. One of the Westmore, and both of these individuals are African American. One of the Westmore went and graduated from high school, went on to college, has a great job in, I think, New York, and just awesome. The other Westmore is doing life in the penitentiary. And it points out something basically what you were talking about, the suburban and the urban community, the difference, the support systems. And that's what I'm getting at. your son, Deborah, comes from Chicago, and you came here to Iowa for a better life. You came here to offer, and now he's caught up in the system, but he had a support system. Calvetta, your daughter, has a support system. What's the difference? What makes the difference between, violence now, with the young people coming to Iowa? Because Iowa is supposed to be the cream of the crop, the milk and honey, and you make your life better. But now we're talking about gangs, we're talking about violence, Larry, Rachel. We have to have an organization called Mothers Against Violence. What's the difference?
Well, to me, the difference is I saw a commercial not too long ago. It says, Des Moines, do more in Des Moines. And I'm thinking, do what? What are these kids doing? They're doing nothing. They're hanging out in the street. And I talked to someone about what I did growing up here, because that's why I brought my son back here, because he was in private school in Chicago, which I felt was safer. When I lost my job, that would have put him in public schools, which was not safe. So I came back here, but then I noticed when I was here and I went to North High School, I worked in the school and earned credit, so I had some money. Also, when that program ended, they allowed me to work outside of the school. I worked for the State Department, and I worked for the Driver's License Bureau. I asked my son, do they have the same thing at the high schools now? No. They get credit for working in the office, but they don't get that little paycheck. That little paycheck meant a lot to me, because my mom could not buy my homecoming gown. She couldn't buy my homecoming outfit when I was a sophomore princess. She couldn't do that. So I did it. But I had the money to do it. I remember going grocery shopping to help buy food for my house. These kids don't have that. I am a parent, but the income is not there to support it. He has a great father. His father lives in Indiana. His father has traveled back here. His father was here today. He took a bus ride at 11:15, got off at 5:30. We went to court. He's getting back on the bus at 12:30 today to go back to work in Indiana. So all of that's there, but we need to find some kind of activities to take these kids' minds off of running the street.
So does Mothers Against Violence, does it help in this? Does it help in grassroots sort of trying to figure out a way to create some sort of environment so that individuals can do things outside of, as you said earlier, being bored?
I think like the events we had, but one of the main things about this group is that.
Well, Larry, I'm going to back you up for a second, because we're here,
okay,
but we have thousands of people listening.
All right.
And they're not they may not be able to track
right
with us. When you say events that we have had,
yes,
talk a little bit about some of the events that you have had and some of the successes with those events.
One of the events that catapulted us was the Victim March. And we knew we were going to do another event, but before when we started off, we wanted to pay respect to those that had lost their lives. And so we started with a Victim March, and the turnout, was like the city spoke, from a KO to the mayor to just the people that lived in that community came out and supported. And we marched from the park to Cheatham Park to Oak Ridge throughout the neighborhood and made it back to to the shelter that Evelyn Davis. That event led into the unity stance. And so we went from a victim march, honoring and respecting those that lost their lives, to now let's empower the community to get together and stand.
Okay, so those events were really for creating a visibility.
Yes.
So a visibility within the community,
yes,
and within the neighborhood and within groups.
Right.
So now how do you take that visibility and then put it into action so that you can actually generate some changes?
I think the action part for us was being accountable to put both of those questions together. Akeo mentioned the difference between the neighborhoods. Out in West Des Moines, this is what we can say. We decided to stand up and speak up and stop being afraid. That was number one. In West Des Moines, 20 kids can't sit on that corner and smoke weed. They really can't. But I noticed that over here in our neighborhood, they can do that. And so what we want to do is hold the kids accountable, but as parents, we allow that to, and we won't stop that.
Well, Larry, I tell you what, that is a very interesting point. We're going to pick right back up. We have to go to commercial. We're going to pick back up where we talk about the differences in the community. Thanks, Larry.
Yep.
We'll be back in a moment.
Okay, I got to make sure that Ed is able to pay the lights here. So let's do that real quick so we can come back. And our first segment was brought to you by the Sierra Club, the Iowa Physicians for Social Responsibility, Great March for Climate Action, Gateway Market, Hawk Restaurant and Fighting Burrito.
Fighting burrito.
Fighting Burrito.
All right.
We're gonna have to go there. I don't know. And we also
After the segment.
after the segment. They're going into the second segment. All right. So we just keep on going. I want to also thank Megan Kane, who's Maddie Kane. I knew that. I just want to see if you were listening to me, Maddie. All right, Maddie Kane, who's our producer here, and will be for the next couple of days. And we're talking to Mothers Against Violence, and we're focusing in on why, not just that there's violence in the community, but why is there violence? Because I think we can always talk about the issue, but we never talk about why. We can always talk about it's there, but you're actually doing something about it. But I want to throw a little wrench in here. Can I do that?
Mm-hmm. He had a question on the table.
Oh, what is the question? Finish the question.
Larry was discussing the difference between the communities and children being to hang out late, or the expectation of a community, and sort of bringing visibility to the difference of that expectation. And I cut you off at that point in order to bring Akeo back in to discuss the.
And what I was doing was putting the responsibility back on the parents. And I'm not talking about as in a way to just offer our children up, but to communicate with our children. Like I was saying, in West Des Moines, the stuff that I see that they can't do in West Des Moines, because he's not afraid to sit on his porch and call the cops in your face because I'm not going to let you do that. We get over to our neighborhoods and people don't want to get involved. And so what Mothers Against Violence decided to do was, instead of saying, well, the parents that don't do it, so many people evade or escape their responsibility because the parent didn't do it. I don't think that gives you a right as a person, as an adult, that you should be able to walk up to a child in your community and have enough love for your community to say that that's not right. I'm not talking about so much calling the police and the officers right away, but try to get some communication with this person where he realizes his life has more value than what he's doing. And at that point, then you can separate the good kid from the bad kid, because some children are on their way to the penitentiary. That's the truth of it.
That's a very interesting point. There's a lot of listeners that are going to definitely be able to identify, tie in with responsibility and accountability, which they don't often hear. If we can switch over to Calvetta, what was your vision? I mean, is this the events, the visibility, the community activism? You've now developed an organization. You're the lead of that organization. You've mentioned a couple of people have unfortunately come to some untimely deaths. How is your vision now growing and moving forward?
My vision actually was I didn't want to bury my own kids. I didn't want to bury anyone else's kids, and I just want to keep that going. I want the violence to stop, and like Larry said, we want to be out there. We want to talk to the kids. We want to come out of our homes. We want other people to come out of their homes. We do a ride-out program right now, where we get out of our homes at 11, and we've been out there till about 2 in the morning, riding out, talking to youth, giving rides. We just want to be
visible,
right?
Visible and active.
Mm-hmm. So Rachel, are you seeing that happening? Are people starting to embrace this concept? Or, what are you seeing?
Yeah, I really am. When I first started with MAV, I joined MAV because I have 2 children who have some serious issues. I'm not afraid to say that my kids are not angels by any means. They have never been. I didn't have the help I needed, so I went to see what I can do, not only to help mine, but to help somebody else's. If I can't reach mine, maybe I can reach somebody else's that reaches somebody else's that gets back to mine and reaches mine.
And we have patched up certain relationships that could have went into a very violent situation. And so a lot of times what I say is that you don't see the lives you save. You only keep stats of the ones that's lost. So what we can do is just have, just keep a good spirit about it and keep pushing, because we have to believe we're effective to keep going, to keep doing this. And so I think we're really effective in the fact that by leadership and showing that we're willing to get out there, that other parents, some people, they're gonna wait for a little bit to see if we're a one-shot wonder, if we're gonna be here next year. But I do believe that even from Miss Deb, the people that has come around and come and joined up has been just great people, great spirits, people that want to give back to their community. And I believe that's going to continue to grow, and this is going to grow into a very big organization.
Ride Out, is that an acronym for something?
Yes, Miss Deb.
What is it? What is Ride Out?
Ride Out stands for Raising Youth Decisions Effectively on Unified Terms. And it it was kind of thought of because we have a lot of youth to reach, first of all, but they have to be in agreement with what they want to have for their life. So if we can sit down as adults and give them some better options and give them a chance to make a better decision, because, you know, back in the day, everybody's got a fist fight. We've always had somebody, some kind, but you don't have to bring a gun to the fight. You don't have to bring a knife to the fight. And it was an old saying, you can live another day to have a discussion about your disagreement. So if we can sit some conflicting youth down together and have them come to a uniform decision about would they rather die today or would they rather live another day to fight for their life, not just to get in a fight with each other, but to fight for their future. Because these kids, just because they're in the street, does that make them dumb? Does not make them necessarily irresponsible, because there's lots of reports and psychological examinations that you really don't come into your mindset of really what's right and wrong until you're in your 20s. And that's documented evidence by psychologists. And we need to look at the fact that kids are easily influenced, especially if you have adults coming around influencing them to do stuff. They think you're cool, you're riding in the best car, you got this, you got that. But when they're 30 and 40 years old and they don't have a life plan, now what? So if we get them to look at their future and say, if I stop doing this right now, I do what I'm supposed to do. At 40 years old, I can have a car, but can't nobody come take it because it's mine. I don't have to worry about them saying, well, you were dealing drugs to get that car, now some government can come in and take it and snatch it from you. It's not yours. And then that kid can reach another kid, can reach another kid, and then we have some younger people in the community saying, look, we shouldn't be doing this. We got a life to live. We look at our black youth, they're incarcerated. You know, my son facing a lot of time. His hands is out of my control. And my heart hurts that I have to sit in the courtroom and watch my son cry because he's a good kid. He's a good kid. And some of these kids just do stupid things, and we need to look at that, and they need to have a chance to say, okay, did I make this mistake? I wasn't in my right mind, but I swear I'll never do it again. You know, now you have kids, he's watched kids since he's been in there, come in and out, 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 out. And he's been sitting there talking to him. Do you really want to do this? Do you really want prison to be your next step? You can go to there, and the guards in where he's at now say he's the best person they've ever had in there. They know he's not a bad kid. But now he's going to possibly face 30 years in prison? That breaks my heart, not just for him, but for any other child. So violence does not just hit where I shot at you. It affects the person that got shot. It affects the person that may go to prison. It affects that person's family. I don't have a lot of money, but I have to keep money on the phone for my son. I have to keep commissary for my son, and I have to try to keep his spirits up. It's a lot of work. So if we can stop the violence, we can stop a whole lot of chain of a lot of stuff affecting families, grandmothers, sisters, brothers, everything. This organization has helped me, in fact, emotionally, to be stable, to go out and do some of the things that they're doing. Ride Out, to me, is a very important part of this, very important. We've got to sit these kids down and talk to them and make them understand they don't have to die. They do not have to die, and they don't have to kill anybody else and ruin their lives.
I have two incidents that I would like you to speak to. You know, one, I know that the Ride Out program and with the CAP program, Community Ambassadors, and the Creative Visions was part of. But the first one I want to talk about, you have maybe 30 or plus young people that are out. You have a gentleman that drives up in his car. He sees these young people. He's actually, you know, told not to park in a certain parking spot. He does, he gets out, and he gets beat to death. There's been some arrests made. What does MAV say, Mothers Against Violence, say to those young people? Because, and I want to be real clear, that there were also young people that intervened to help the man, and they also got beat up. You know, they also got beat up, because I really don't want to say that 30 or 40 just young people jumped in and didn't know. You had young people that said this is not right, and they too were beat up. But what does MAV, Mothers Against Violence, what do you say to them? You know, what you said you want to talk to young people. What do you say to that group of young people that will gather again? Because you've been right out. We know that there's been 30 to 40 individual young people still gathering. What do you say to them? I mean, what do you say that's been different? That's different now. That's been said to them before to get them to listen.
I think with that situation particularly, what we need to do, to say is, look, some of you don't realize that although you weren't involved directly, you were, because you didn't stop it. If you were scared, you could have called somebody. I guess the thing is, we need to get this no snitching thing cleared up. There's a difference between snitching and being a good citizen and telling. There's a difference. If I'm doing something with you wrong, as Larry would say, if I'm doing something wrong with you and you doing something wrong with me and then I go tell, that's snitching. But if I'm sitting here on my porch and I see 12 kids go up and assault somebody for no reason, I'm telling on every one of y'all. I seen it and I'm telling. I'm not snitching, I'm being a good citizen. I'm telling because that's the right thing to do.
Okay, I want to. Can we stay on that just for a minute? But what do you say to the kids?
What I would say to them,
what do you
is
say
that
before they
obviously,
get there?
especially in a situation before they get there? Let me just speak about after the fact. Obviously, there's some right and wrong decisions. You can see it. The kids can tell us this was wrong, that was right. What I would tell them before they got there is that you have to be careful anytime you get in a crowd. There's a thing called a mob mentality. My grandma used to always say guilty by association.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying? And she used to tell me, you be careful who you run with because their problems can become your problems. So why would you really need a group of 30 kids on a corner? We're not going to a concert. We're not going to a public event. Why do I really need to stand with 30 people? You know, usually the young men that I know that was going out was just trying to find one girl tonight. And so why are you standing there with 30 people? And then if you're not strong enough, if you're not the leader of the group, and the leader of the 30 is a bad seed, he's a thug and all he wants to do is do damage, I really don't understand why you're standing there. Now, if he's a guy that's a good guy, he's in school, he's doing things like that, you enjoy his company, I see 30, you can get 30 good people in this town to stand together. We've seen that. If that's what's going on, you guys want to discuss and just hang out, you see church groups with young kids today, and they're good people. They love what they're doing in their lives. They're going somewhere in their lives. But if you go there and you stand there with a gang and you act like you don't know what gangs is about, then I think that you should suffer the consequences. When it comes down, if you're not strong enough to go at the leader of that gang and protect another person's life, then I think that your value for life, the fact you wasn't strong enough to try to stop it, you have to deal with that. You put your life in a situation where you might be arrested and do time and didn't even commit the murder. But that way, if we can get them to raise their decisions, we're talking about raising youth decisions effectively, to let them see the whole game. When we're young, we just see right now, right here. And we get older and all of a sudden the whole game open up. If we can share that with these kids and get them to open up and realize that you got to see the whole court when you're playing basketball. Keep your head on the swivel, pay attention. Some of those kids would have left before it actually even happened, not even been there.
Again, we're with Mothers Against Violence, and this is Desmond Adams and K.O. Abdul Samad sitting in for Fallon on the Fallon Forum. We're about to go to break here, but first we want to talk a little bit about mention our sponsors. The Sierra Club, Iowa Physicians for Social Responsibility, Great March for Climate Action, Gateway Market, Hawk Restaurant, and that infamous Fighting Burrito. We look forward to coming back in a few moments, and stay tuned.
From the RE/MAX Real Estate Concept Studios, this is Webcast One Live.
Drug and alcohol addiction slowly steals a person's identity, tearing away pieces of their life little by little, until one day it seems like the hope of a happy future is gone and there's no chance of getting it back. Here at St. Gregory Retreat Centers, we can assure you that there is hope. Our unique approach to recovery begins with the understanding that the dysfunction and damage caused by addiction can be overcome, not just dealt with. Don't let another day go by. Call St. Gregory today.
Well, good morning. This is the 7th of June in the Lord's year 2010, and this is day 1 of WebcastOneLive.com. We will begin with Max World Live with my special guest, first time on Webcast One Live. Someday we're going to look back on this and say, gosh, remember that old day in history? Wonder where Walter Cronkite was. He must have been around hanging there too. But actually, it's the beginning of Webcast One Live. And thank you for listening. Thanks, Rob Spearman, and everybody who's put together this project together. And we're ready to go live now. So thanks for listening to MaxWorldLive.com.
I can't tell you that it's going real well from time to time, but it is going.
I'm Brian Leach, owner and general manager of Service Legends. I brought along a couple of the home comfort heroes.
Hi, I'm Tammy Wells.
I am Nick Wondershide.
I am administrative manager
I am the senior technician
from Service Legends.
It seems like every good thing, when you feel it to the bone that it's good, there's a lot of hard work put behind it. I don't think that you can fake it and have it turn out good.
You know, if we seem like, okay, that's just weird, it's just a furnace, why would you believe so deeply in a furnace? It's not just that, you know, we want to show the world that you can have good service.
Yeah, I mean, it's got to be, it's your home.
You know, it's built into our daily trainings, it's built into our culture, that we're going to do whatever it takes to have each client say they love us, period.
That's why we spend all the hours in the training that we do. And if we guarantee it's going to be a good experience for you, or else it's free, what type of work do you think we're going to do?
There is a guarantee.
Temperature selection guarantee, fixed right or it's free guarantee, comfort guarantee, best value guarantee. All of these guarantees hold us accountable to ensuring that we exceed your expectations. And if for whatever reason we'd fail and we can't make it right, we guarantee all of those guarantees with a 100% money back guarantee.
I mean, if you don't think that your technician can fix it right, are you going to say that to a client? No.
You don't have to worry about having a technician come to your house.
We drug test, background check all of our team members. We put safe people in your home. Each and every one of our service techs, 400 hours a year in training.
You tell it the minute they walk in the door. They know what they're doing, they've done their homework, and they actually truly care about what you want.
Because at the end of the day, you're the person that makes sure I have a job.
They're going to be listening. They're going to want to know what your challenges are. Then they're going to come and give you options, and you get to choose.
If I'm there to help and I make it easy and painless, I did my job right that day.
Well, when it comes to your comfort, safety, and your family, you know, you don't necessarily go buy the most expensive, but you get the most bang for your buck.
Oh, it's worth it, because there's a lot of people that will find a way to get it to work right now and then leave and then come back, charge you again, and the cycle just repeats itself. So when I'm out there looking at the furnace, I want to find why it failed today. How can we change the part today with something that you're not going to have to worry about? Is it worth changing the part today? I mean, you can put a lot of money into a furnace. I can fix parts all day. There's good job security in that for me. But is it the right thing for you?
I get a lot of the phone calls of after the technicians are there. They're just in awe. They're like, wow, you guys are great. I mean, I don't even know what to say. You guys are great. Everything you did was perfect. It was great.
Keep going though, I like this.
Just give us a try. I'm gonna take all the risk.
I've got the time to make this right. I've got the support to make it right.
Just check us out.
And if you don't see the value in what we do,
I mean, fixed right or it's free or 100% money back.
enough said.
From the RE/MAX Real Estate Concept Studios, this is Webcast One Live.
And we're back at the Fallon Forum when your host for the Fallon Forum for the next 2 days is Desmond Adams and myself, Akeo Abdul Samad. Desmond, how you doing?
Oh, outstanding.
You doing okay?
Outstanding.
Yeah.
Let's talk a little bit about these sponsors. The Immigrant Entrepreneur Summit, outstanding event they put on at Drake University. You got to make sure you come and see them.
Ritual Cafe?
I've been there before. I've enjoyed the coffee.
Yeah, well, I like the food. They got excellent food there. You know, for vegetarians, for us that don't eat meat.
That might be why I just focus on the coffee.
Yeah, you are a meat eater.
I am a meat eater.
You're a meat eater, okay.
I'm a carnivore.
We'll work on you. All right. Tyler's Restaurant, how's that?
I like the libations.
Okay. Now, so far, you like the coffee and the libations. Do you eat when you go any place?
I do.
Okay.
That's next.
Hey, Gateway Market.
Gateway Market.
That's the place.
Gateway Market. Gateway. I love having breakfast at Gateway. Actually, an excellent. I'm going to give you an inside tip. Excellent place to have breakfast at about 7 o'clock in the morning. You see a lot of the heavy hitters from around town. They come there before they go downtown to work.
I like the lunch. The lunch is good. They got a good vegetarian chili there. No, you don't have to respond. All right. Then the community CPA.
Yeah.
If you need CPA, go to the community CPA. That'll be outstanding.
They're good at numbers.
They're good at numbers. Yeah, they count it all up. One of the things I do want to mention, and with Desmond, when we get into, because Deborah, I want to ask you about an incident that happened, and that leads into hopefully talking about your collaborations and why, because this was a collaborative effort during the fair. But I also want to mention that Desmond and I go back at least 20 years. At least 20 years. And Desmond was in Chicago, and I don't hold that against him, for that he's from Chicago, and that all. But anyway, he's from Chicago. He moved back here because he wanted to take care of his son. When you talk about parents and accountability, and I hope that when we do the radio program, Real Conversations, that you'll be one of the guests and we talk about that.
Absolutely.
Okay. But anyway, the incident that happened, we're at the fair, several organizations, and I'm not going to mention organizations. I'll let Larry do that, talk about collaboration. But you look up the street on 30th and Grand at the entrance of the fair and take it from there. What do you see?
What I see, I guess as a parent, I'm always looking around anyway. So what I see is 3 children standing there. And so I watch them for a minute to kind of see what they're doing. And first I see, are they waiting for a bus? I'm not familiar with Des Moines that much, so I don't know if a bus is coming. But then I see the smaller one of them, looking like he's about 8 or so, actually sticking his thumb out. So I watched for a minute to see if it was a joke, if he was playing with the other 2, but I saw the 2 of them talking back and forth as if they were having a conversation about what they're about to do. And so I see the little boy again stick his thumb out. So I walked over and I said, do you guys need a ride? Are you trying to hitchhike? And he said, yes. I said, well, I'm part of a ride-out program. We'll be willing to give you a ride home. So I walked him over to a KO in the van, and we found out where they live, which is way out on Southeast Army Post Road. And I guess we could heard one of the children in the back saying that the mom said she wasn't waking up, and it's like 1 o'clock in the morning to give them a ride back from the fair, which just ended for the night. So that's one of the things that we do. Anything could have happened to them kids had they gotten the wrong car. They might not have ever made it home. And that's another way of stopping violence. And then someone could have just been targeting them, thinking that they might have had some money left on them and got jumped on. So we gave them a ride home safely, watched them go to where they lived, and that's part of the program. We've stopped and talked to kids to see what's on their minds, handed them the things, and now Calvetta can pick up. We're trying to get into other programs to help with crowds of children.
Before we get it, Calvetta, before you answer, what does Mother Against Violence say to parents? I mean, you have a parent that the children call. It's 1 o'clock in the morning. They're leaving the fair. Mom says, I don't want to get up. Make your way home. A 9-year-old young male, the other one couldn't have been no more 10, 11-year-old, right? And then a young female.
Right.
What do you say to parents?
What I would say as a parent.
What does Mav say?
Mav should say to parents, you should never be too tired for your child's safety. You should never be too tired. I have older kids, and they have called me and said, I'm stuck somewhere. I'll get out my bed at 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning and go get my child. Not because I think he's not responsible or she's not responsible, because I don't know what would happen if I said no. So there is no way in the world I would tell a small child or any child, I'm too tired to come get you. And what I say to children is, before you go somewhere, and everybody knows their house, I'll just put it that way, before you go somewhere, try to secure you some safety in getting back from where you are. And with the ride-out cards, we have numbers on there now. Kids can call us. and say, can you help me get back home? Can you get me out this situation? And that's important. And you were talking about the crowd of kids, and what do you say to kids? What you say to kids is think for yourself. Don't try to have that crowd mentality. I worked at a therapeutic day school in Chicago, and I won't hold it against you that I'm from Chicago.
I appreciate that.
That was coming. I knew that was coming.
11 years. And those kids come from jail school, from broken homes, from a lot of things. But the greatest joy I got out of that job was seeing a kid come in with no hope, finding out that adults really do care, that there are adults that really care about you, and they graduate high school.
Well, I tell you, it's really encouraging to, they're talking about fundamental, they're attacking violence at the fundamental core, at the basis and the foundation. Not only addressing it with children, but then also with the parental rights and parents. I mean, if you're going to call parents out for the lack of parenting and accountability, which is sorely needed, not only in this community, but some will say worldwide, even with our political leaders, from responsibility and accountability, but then also deal with the youth. I think that's tremendous. What are your thoughts?
I guess, Desmond, my question would be, and I think that would lead into your question to Mal, can they do that by themselves? Is this just, and I think, Larry, is this a fly-by-night or do it by themselves, or who else is doing it with them, or is this something new? Are we going to see cosmetic change or systemic change? And I guess that would be my question.
So what makes this different? That's the question. So the person listening is going to say, you know what, we march, we talk, we paint signs, we support, we give money. What makes this different? Why should I support MAF? What do you say, Larry?
Ego. Number one thing, you have creative visions. You have Frank Minks with his group. You have Mothers Against Violence. When we sit down at a table, we don't even say those names of our groups. We talk about the kids. All egos are put to the side. We are getting to these babies. When we sit down with, the Tucson Cheatums, the people in this community, we're not here to promote these groups. Everybody has a name. Like I have a name. But my name does nothing for that kid that needs that help. He needs a service from me. And I can say that when we collaborate, the people that have stepped up, and we're asking everybody, we cannot do it by ourselves. But make no mistake about it, we're not going anywhere, and we will try. But we believe that when people step up, different groups, different entities, whether it's funding, whether it's volunteer help, whether it's just throwing in your hat and going, you know what, put me to the side and let's get to these babies. What we're doing right now, even with the Des Moines Police Department, it's like everybody's doing a collective effort, and you got to admit it's showing some results. Like we're out here and we're really reaching these kids, and the kids are starting to believe that we care. It has nothing to do with promoting our name or your name. We just want to get out here and get to these babies.
Outstanding. Well, I tell you what, Larry, thank you for that, and we're going to go to our last segment here. But first, we're going to talk a little bit about our sponsors. Let's work backwards, forwards this time. Community CPA.
Make sure you contact them, especially if you want numbers.
Numbers.
Yeah, don't call us.
Yeah, actually, something? It's really good to use a CPA, ladies and gentlemen, quarterly. Okay? Use a CPA quarterly. Don't just use a CPA at tax time. Use them so you're prepared, so you know what's going on throughout the year. That's the proper way to use a CPA.
Is this your advice of being
That's for free.
Person?
That's for free. That's for free. That's for free.
So they don't have to send no money
They don't have to send any money in.
Okay. All right.
And let's talk about Gateway Market.
Gateway Market again.
Excellent.
Gateway, we got to get the mic there. We got to share the mic. Come over. Come on. See, if you were a CPA, you would have known one mic. Yes, yeah, okay.
For the hip hop community, I get 5 mics.
You 5 mics? Okay. Gateway Market.
Gateway Market,
good.
Outstanding food.
Very outstanding.
Tally's Restaurant. I love the libations. Great customer service.
And great food.
Great food. What do you like there?
The fish.
Okay.
I like the fish. So you thought you were going to get it. See, you didn't.
Okay. Ritual Cafe.
Ritual Cafe.
Yes.
Again, good vegetarian, good sweets that they have, and they're all like homemade.
What I like at Ritual Cafe?
For the coffee.
The coffee.
You like the coffee?
That's what I like, the coffee. But I'm going to go to Ritual Cafe. So if anyone's at Ritual Cafe, you see me coming through, tell me what they do really well. I'm going to go just because you said they do well.
All right. You want to try some of the sweets?
I want to go because they support Ed Fallon's show. The Fallon Show. Thank you for supporting
Oh, that's why you're going.
That's why I'm going. And then Immigrant Entrepreneur Summit. I am an entrepreneur. I own my own business. I've done that now for 9 years. And I also mentor business owners. So I think that it's important that we support our entrepreneur our entrepreneur community.
So when you do that, you're a business owner, then you take people to lunch and that type of thing as a business?
I do take people to lunch as a business in order to secure their business or to build a relationship.
So Tyler's Restaurant is someplace that I can look forward to come because
Tally's Restaurant?
Yeah.
Yes.
We can go there.
We
and
can
do
go to
some-
Tally's.
Okay.
Tally, if you're listening, go to Tally's Restaurant because this is a Tally's that's I was going to go there, but I'm not going to do that.
Don't do that. Don't do that. This is Tyler, and it's good for libraries, but it's also because they support the show, the Forum.
Because they support Ed Fallon's Fallon Show.
That's it. That's it.
Okay, ladies, we'll be back in a few moments.
Let's get back here. Mothers Against Violence.
From the RE/MAX Real Estate Concept Studios, this is Webcast One Live.
Drug and alcohol addiction slowly steals a person's identity, tearing away pieces of their life little by little until one day it seems like the hope of a happy future is gone and there's no chance of getting it back. Here at St. Gregory Retreat Centers, we can assure you that there is hope. Our unique approach to recovery begins with the understanding that the dysfunction and damage caused by addiction can be overcome, not just dealt with. Don't let another day go by. Call St. Gregory today.
Well, good morning. This is the 7th of June in the Lord's year 2010, and this is day 1 of webcast1live.com. We will begin with Max World Live with my special guest, Tom Coates. In just a minute, there's Tom. Wait. Howdy. And we will be live for the very first time on Webcast One Live. Someday we're going to look back on this and say, gosh, remember that old day in history? Wonder where Walter Cronkite was. He must have been around hanging there too. But actually, it's the beginning of Webcast One Live. And thank you for listening. Thanks, Rob Spearman, and everybody who's put together this project together. And we're ready to go live now. So thanks for listening to MaxWorldLive.com.
I can't tell you that it's going real well from time to time, but it is going.
From the RE/MAX Real Estate Concept Studios, this is Webcast One Live.
Desmond Adams with that big old smile there, and he's there, and we're having some fun here. And this is the Fallon Forum, and we're here, and Ed is out of the country, Desmond.
Yes.
He's out of the country, and somebody told me he was over in Ireland.
Well, I'm wondering if he was attending the G20.
I doubt it, but he's over there, and enjoyed himself. But whatever Ed is doing, also, so we can promote this, I know Ed would want that. He's getting ready to go on a cross-country walk, talking about the environment, and they're going to actually broadcast live from each one of his states.
That's incredibly important, and I honor that.
I do, and he said he wants people to join him. So if you feel like you want to get out there and walk across
Well, you need to
Nebraska,
you need to be in a little bit of shape, and that I'm not, unfortunately. But my wife is. That's a shout out to her because she's working out a lot. But we laugh about that. I'm not in shape, but I can support her from afar.
Okay, and we're here at Webcast One Live,
the Fallon Forum.
That's right.
Kayo Abdul Samad, Desmond Adams, 5 mics,
and we are actually with. Wow, you're a CPA coming. Wow. Yeah. But anyway, we're here with a very important organization that has been formed by the founder, Calvetta. What's her last name, Calvetta?
Williams.
Yeah, Williams. I'm only kidding. Calvetta Williams, who decided that she was tired of seeing death. And she also wanted to focus on the fact that she did not want her children to die. She didn't want to have to bury her children. and I applaud that because I know what it is to bury a child, my only child. So I understand that. But you're also, Calvetta, getting ready to represent Iowa, in Washington, D.C. We went to an event at Union Park. You want to tell us a little bit about it? And then they called and they asked us to come to D.C. I'm not going to be able to go because I really want to go and listen to you because you have a story to tell. Can you tell us a little bit about your trip here?
Well, they just called it's called the No Names Tour, and it's sponsored by Mayors Against Illegal Gun Violence. So they asked me to fly out next Thursday. It's a one-day trip, and they're going to have a rally and a dinner. And it's basically they're going to read off names of the Sandy Hook victims and other victims that have been murdered. So I'm excited about it.
Okay. Did you think in such a short period of time that Mothers Against Violence would be where it's at today?
No. Nope.
Not at all?
No.
What are some of the results that have happened? I mean, we talked about, the young people that beat up the gentleman and individuals being charged. There's still violence going on in the community. What are some of the results that Mothers Against Violence have been able to see? Rachel, can you start us off on that?
Some of the results we've seen, when we did the event at the amphitheater, at that time, the chief had mentioned that since the walk in June, from June 8th to July 27th, when we did the event at the amphitheater, there had not been an actual murder.
Okay.
So we feel like even though the numbers may not be out there for the community to see, there are changes being made and things are working out. My son has started to talk to me about things that he probably would never talk to me about, knowing that I might be able to get somebody to help him. If I can't help him, he knows that with the connections that Mav has started to have, there's somebody I can call to help him.
Question then. Let me say this, especially to each one of you. With Mothers Against Violence, is there, in part of the results, is there been a change in each one of you? And how you look at the worldview?
Oh, yeah.
I had to throw the option of punching somebody in the face out. That's done. That's not even an option. You know what I mean? It made us character-wise. You gotta live what you're talking about. And that's part of some of the results, even as a person. Has picked us up as a person. But I believe that we're saving lives.
Larry, if we can talk about you were in the penitentiary for a number of years, correct?
Yes, I've probably spent almost a decade in the penitentiary.
Okay.
I'm blessed to say that I've been out almost a decade too.
Okay.
So I'd like to bring people up to par, up to speed, because a lot of times when I say that and I don't add the other part, they think I just got out yesterday.
Okay.
I'm starting to, with Mothers Against Violence. In the 8 years I've been out, 8.5 years, I've actually done a lot in changing my life. I went to the Salvation Army Adult Rehabilitation Center. Today I'm the program director of that center. And so when I met Mab this year and got on board, it was perfect for what my life was. And originally they asked me, but one more of my testimony. Like, what can you tell us? What are you guys really thinking when you're out here doing some of the dumb stuff that you do? I've been asking myself that question for a long time and trying to come up with answers. And what would I say to myself if I can go back? And so when we got together, it just sparked that conversation to, what would we say to kids? And you could ask me, I'm pretty much open book. You could ask me and I'll tell you that it wasn't because I wasn't unintelligent. I was a straight A student. I made a decision that I wanted to be a thug. One of the dumbest decisions I've ever made. But kids are making those decisions today, flat out. 15, 16-year-old going, you know what? I'm going to go that way. I can show you what you're going to bump into at 17, 21, 22. And as it happens, I think I develop a communication and a respect with the children. They say, he told me that. He told me that. And hopefully we can pull you out before you end up spending time in the penitentiary or taking somebody's life. And so it's a blessing for me to use my mistakes and hopefully can help a child to avoid those mistakes.
Calvetta, what's the results for you? I mean, you're a single mother,
Yes.
raising how many children?
5.
5 children. Single mother raising 5 children. What's the results for you? What has
Well, I have 2
Mothers Against Violence?
grown children, so I don't
Okay.
raise them anymore. But
So you don't look old enough to have. Does she? What do you think, Desmond?
Not at all.
Not at all? Okay.
Show some ID.
I have one. I just handle things a lot different, being that I'm in Mothers Against Violence. I keep my mouth shut a lot when I want to say certain things. So now I just step back and think about it.
Tell us. Let's play out a scenario. Can we do that? You know, we're in the van. We're driving around. We come up on what was that? 10th and University. Come up about 10th and University. You look over. There's your daughter, handcuffed, sitting there with the police department. You know, the police are arresting her. She has this big knot on her head. Blood is coming out of it. All right. Give me the Calvetta before MAV, Mothers Against Violence, and then give me the Calvetta with Mothers Against Violence. What would a Calvetta do?
The Calvetta before MAV, I would have been sitting in handcuffs right along with her. So the Calvetta now simply ask, could I, that was my daughter, ask, could I, see her or approach her? I ask questions with the police. The Calvetta before, would have seen that blood on my daughter's head, and I probably would have been in handcuffs with her.
Calvetta, that's what your vision has been outstanding, and we congratulate you and wish you the best in your continued success, the entire group.
Thank you.
Rachel and Deborah, we have about a minute and a half left. Deborah, I'd like to ask you, any final thoughts that you want to share?
Well, you asked how has Mothers Against Violence changed our lives. I believe it's changed, and I'm not trying to speak for everybody else, but it made us diplomats. It turned us into diplomats. Whereas, it gives us a chance to, instead of raising our voice, lower our voice, and teach that respect comes in a different kind of tone. You don't have to yell at somebody to get respect. And that's one of the things that we can also show children, that and adults. When you scream at a child, they get defensive. And I learned this working where I was working. If you scream at a child, they have this thing where I have to poke my chest out and I have to get my respect because you're fronting me off in front of my peers. And so now I have to defend myself. If we can control our tone with children, respect them as people, not as a body in a little body, because they are people that have feelings. Control ourselves, be diplomats, and talk and listen.
Excellent point. Excellent point. Rachel, and with 30 seconds, what would you say is something that you've taken away, or that how have you grown?
A lot. We joke all the time. I had an incident the other day where somebody approached me and said something really ignorant. And it really made me mad, but I didn't say anything. I joked about what I could have did and what I would have done had I not been in MAV. And I think about that when I approach any situation now, what it represents when I approach it, how it's going to affect MAV, me, and the whole entire group as a group. So I really think about things before I react anymore. I do.
So, ladies and gentlemen, we have had the pleasure to speak with key organizers, the president, founder, vice president, and key stakeholders in Mothers Against Violence. We've had an opportunity to talk about what's taking place in the community, and we just thank them so much for their hard work and their efforts. And
we also thank our sponsors.
We have to thank the sponsors.
Let's do that real quick, and then we'll wrap it up here.
Yes.
Right? Okay. Let's thank our sponsors real quick.
Immigrant Entrepreneur Summit.
Ritual Cafe.
13th and Locust specifically. Tally's Restaurant.
Oh, man. And Beaverdale.
Yes.
Yeah, the one in Beaverdale.
And Robert Sanda is the owner and also the head chef. I attended Tally's for a couple
And Gateway Market?
Gateway Market on MLK in Woodland.
Okay, and let's not forget, watch your numbers, Community CPA.
Watch your numbers every quarter, Community CPA.
And we're going to close out. We want to thank Ed Fallon for allowing us to come on. And
thank you.
Without a doubt. We also want to thank Mothers Against Violence. Thank you, Desmond. It's been great.
Hey, thank you.
We want to close to our producer. You're great.
Thank you.
She made us and we want to close out saying, without a doubt, peace plus justice equals love. See you tomorrow.
Thank you.
Amen.
From the RE/MAX Real Estate Concept Studios, this is Webcast One Live.